Hi, I'm Amber Wadkins, Director of Alumni Relations at the Krannert School of Management, and I'm here today with David Randich. David is most recently with Masterbrand Cabinets, serving as their president and having just retired at the end of 2019. He's here today speaking as a part of our Krannert Executive Forum. Welcome.
Thank you, Amber. I'm honored to be welcome back here. Thanks very much.
We are so happy to have you here and excited to have you share your experiences through the vast career that you've led so far and with our students. But I'd really like to have you take a reflective look back at your time at Purdue and share with us what brought you to Purdue University. Why did you choose to come here to study?
Sure. So my father decided I was going to go to Purdue. He came from the south side of Chicago, from kind of a working class background, and he was the first person in his family to go to college. And his dad pushed him towards Purdue because of the engineering and business opportunities here. And then when I was growing up, my dad was always the Purdue fan and was always encouraging me to follow along the family legacy and come to Purdue. And so when I was looking at Purdue, I was kind of balancing engineering and I had an interest in business, but I aimed to Krannert because of the good mix of both the technical background that Krannert alumni get and the business side of it. And I took an industrial management degree, and it worked out because I spent my whole life as an industrial manager. So my Purdue choice was very good for me.
That's great. Yeah, it seems like it lined you up pretty well for the career that you've led. Our BSIM program is certainly one of the highlights here at Krannert that we are certainly proud of our alum that come through that program. And as you think through your career, you have led roles in manufacturing, logistics, global supply chain that have led you to increasingly responsibilities throughout your career, ultimately landing you at Masterbrand. And throughout your career, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about an interesting piece of your experience in that you led organizations internationally for almost 15 years of your career in Europe and Asia, which is tremendous. And can you talk a little bit about that experience? What was the learning curve coming from working in the United States to leading teams and driving business strategy in Europe and Asia?
Sure. So, Amber, first of all, having that Krannert degree really helped me. As I mentioned, you've got the business side and the quantitative side, and I've hired a lot of Purdue grads and have had a lot of success because people that come out of Purdue tend to be very smart but practical and solution oriented and good at working in teams. And so I think I was one of those people, and when I got out of Purdue, I got into manufacturing, and I was kind of worked my way up through factories and managed multiple factories. And I was fortunate enough to work with a product in a company that had an international presence, and they were always looking to find people who were willing to go overseas. And I had never been overseas. I didn't even have a passport when I was 29 years old when I was given the opportunity. And it was kind of a risk that I took early and just kind of took a flyer on going overseas. And it led to 14 years of that between Germany and the UK and China. And it turns out to be one of these things where if you take a bit of a risk and it works out, then those opportunities kind of compound on one another. And that's how it worked for me going overseas.
That's great. And so you touched on this a little bit on how you've leaned on the Purdue networks and the Purdue alumni to help build the teams that you've built throughout your career. Can you also speak a little bit about what you think you learned here at Purdue that really helped develop the skill sets that you needed to help lead the career that you led so far?
Sure. So first of all, to get through Krannert, you do have to have a fair amount of math and science, which I think everybody should be encouraged to take as much of that as they possibly can. So that was good. I got a good broad understanding of finance and accounting and business. So while I was here, I didn't get business experience, but I got a sense of what types of problems need to be solved in the business world. To be honest, and this may be for me specifically, but the light bulb really went off for me when I saw process management at Purdue, when I saw process diagrams and project management and realized that this is kind of how the business world works. When you tear down anything that occurs in business, whether it's product innovation or sales and marketing, manufacturing and supply chain, it's all underpinned by process. And I think that was the lesson and the capabilities that stuck with me at Krannert forever and it's the thing I see in Krannert alumni when I hire them.
That's awesome. So ultimately, as I mentioned, you are here to speak to our students in the Executive Forum class. And what is the message that you hope that they walk away from after having heard from you today?
Right, and I'm grateful to come here and talk to the students. A little uneasy because I don't normally talk to students, but when I do a lot of mentoring of younger people in the companies I manage, one of the things I talk to them about is taking some risks early in their career to get them out of the way. And what I mean by that is it can be very easy for a smart person to go out into the world and join a company and kind of drift into the background. And maybe you stay in your job and maybe you make good money, but you don't make a mark because you don't take the risks early. And the advantage to doing it early is you can make mistakes and learn from them, and people will give you some grace period. As long as you're prepared and working hard and learning from your mistakes, people will generally, your superiors will generally work with you. And I encourage young people to get leadership opportunities, whether it's running a project or having people reporting to them early, because we learn people skills, unfortunately, by making mistakes. And it's great to make those mistakes in your 20s and early 30s when the spotlight isn't on you. Also, running a process, whether you have responsibility to make a profit or cost variances or develop a new product, something with an output that you're accountable for and have to get that result, it's best to get that experience early because, again, you're going to make mistakes. If you make those mistakes young, you're not on the big stage.
Yep.
Third thing is I encourage people to learn and practice as much about communication as they possibly can, whether it's speaking or written. It can very often make a difference in a career with someone's communication skills.
That's good. Well, definitely very, very important messages that we're excited for our students to hear from someone who's lived it. And so we really thank you for being here and coming back to Krannert.
Thank you, Amber, very much.
Good. So for the Krannert Executive Forum, I'm Amber Watkins. Thank you for watching.